Good morning, class. While the city braces for Cyclone Nisarg, we are going to learn about the story of the village of Palampur. Before we begin with today's class, I need you to carry the following apparatus. That is, you will need your notebooks, your textbook, pens, color pencils, and a pencil with an eraser. So here we go. Welcome to the story of the village of Palampur. What are the learning outcomes of this chapter? At the end of this lesson, you would have understood factors of production, land, labor, capital, human capital. Some of it we will cover in today's unit. You would have understood modern farming methods by the end of this chapter. You will have understood farming activities and non-farming activities at the end of this chapter. Now, I would like you to quickly make this kind of a mind map in your notebook. So you will give on a right-hand page, I wish you to use a right-hand fresh page where you will have given a heading. Keep the book standing and you will have given a heading, the story of the village Palampur. And then I want you to leave the page blank until I instruct you to go back to that page. Behind this right-hand page will be a double page in your notebook. On the double page, I want you to draw this mind map. It is going to be called, in the center of the double page, you will come to this part, the story of the village of Palampur. So this story will be the center of your double page. After that, I need you to move in this direction to the left, the westward direction, and you will write only this part of the mind map, factors of production. Factors of production. You have 4 factors of production that we are planning to cover: land, labor, physical capital, and human capital. Land, labor, physical capital, and human capital. And in physical capital, you're going to have 2 breakups, fixed capital and working capital. So I hope I am very clear. You have done this much, and then you will stop with the mind map until we ask you to continue with it. Now I'm going to narrate to you the idea of a hypothetical village. Okay? So you will look at your screen in the meantime. That Palampur is a hypothetical village. It is something that doesn't exist. That is why it is hypothetical, where farming is the main activity. And there are several other activities like small-scale manufacturing, dairy, transport, and they are carried out on a limited scale. These production activities need various types of resources: natural resources, man-made items, human effort, money, etc. This village has like 450 families belonging to different castes. There are 80 upper caste families who own a majority of land in the village. Their houses some of them quite large, are made of brick with cement plastering. The Dalits comprise of 1/3 of the population and live in one small corner of the village with smaller houses, some of which are made with mud and straw. So that's another thing we need to know. Mud and straw houses and brick houses with cement plastering. Two things, and 450 families. Out of 450, only 80 families own a large part of the village. So 450 minus 80, so 300 plus some big number live in a very small part of the village, hardly owning any land. Most of the houses have electric connections. Electricity powers all the tube wells in the fields. It is used in a variety of small businesses. Palampur has 2 primary schools, 1 high school. There is a primary health center run by the government and 1 private dispensary where the sick are treated. So you have electricity, that's 1 point. You have tube wells, you have schools, 2 primary, 1 high school, and healthcare center, because you have a primary healthcare center and a government center, and you have a private dispensary. Thus, Palampur is well connected, well developed with neighboring villages and towns like Raiganj and Shahpur. And we also know it's an imaginary hypothetical village which will allow us to know about farming very, very well. And there are 2 types of activities in Palampur, farming activities and non-farming activities. So now you remember previously I had asked you to leave a 1-page blank where you had written the heading of the chapter on a right-hand page, and I said write it on a right-hand page and leave it blank. I have introduced the village to you. Now it's very simple. I need you to imagine the story that I narrated to you. I need you to imagine a village of that kind and draw it. You will draw this kind of a village on the space left below the standing page, the vertical page. Then you will color it and you will label it. So I have brought you to a variety of things. You will do it after we have finished with today's lesson. So as a homework, because it requires some time and some thought. But make sure you do it. Then we come to the main topic for today, which is the aim of production, or production is what we are going to talk. The aim of production, as we all know, is to produce goods and services that we want. This you must remember as an important statement. And then we have to organize production. So in order to organize production, we need to deal with the factors of production. So while we were doing basic economic concepts in the previous class, we have touched upon factors of production, and I remember having told you that we will deal with it a little later. So you have these 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and enterprise or entrepreneurship. And the entrepreneur uses his knowledge and skill to combine the first 3 factors of production. So while we are doing organization of production, we are going to talk about land, labor, physical capital, which is fixed and working capital, and then we will talk about human capital. Land and other natural resources like water, forests and minerals are the first requirement. Some activities require fully qualified workers and highly educated workers to perform the necessary tasks, while some activities require unskilled workers who have a lot of physical capacity in them, but they need not be educated. And their activity is very, very vital or important. For example, if I'm constructing a building, the company who is constructing a building needs to have educated people, qualified workers. But the people who are actually constructing it, the construction workers, they just need to be skilled in constructing. They need not have gone to our school like ours and studied like you and I have, but they need to just know their job well of how to climb the scaffolding, how to carry the bricks, how to build, and that's it for them. So they are labor. Labor is also into skilled and unskilled, but they have physical capacity. Capital, as we understand, is fixed and physical. Tools, machines, and buildings can be used in the production over many, many years and are called fixed capital. Tools and machines range from very, very simple tools like farmers' plow to sophisticated machines like generators, turbines, computers. Okay, but physical capital is your working capital. Production requires a variety of raw materials like yarn used by the weaver, clay by the potter, etc. And money is always required during the production process to make payments, buy other necessary materials, make profit, take some money home. Raw materials and money in hand are called working capital, as unlike tools, machines, and buildings, because these are used up in production. Now we can also say that human capital is a fourth requirement. We need the knowledge and enterprise of the person, the entrepreneur, to be able to put together land, labor and physical capital to produce an output. These days it is called human capital. In the olden days it was called entrepreneur. So every production is organized by combining land, labor, physical capital and human capital, which are known as factors of production. So I have covered page 1 and 2 till here. I am sure you do not have any doubts. When I introduced the village to you on page 1, I asked you to imagine a village, draw it, color it and label it well with a black pen. It's like saying draw a neat label diagram of the village of Palampur. But we can't call it a diagram because the village is a hypothetical village. Then we did the factors of production, land, labor, physical capital and human capital. Now we move to page 3 where we say land is fixed. Farming is the main activity. 75% of the people work in the fields and are farmers, but there is a constant rise in population. Wastelands are converted to cultivable lands, and there exists no more land to convert to cultivable land. So what are they going to do? Is there any way in which one can grow more on the same field? The answer is yes. You have to use modern inputs. And what are the modern inputs that you can use? HYB seeds, fertilizers, modern farm machinery, pesticides, irrigation using modern facilities, canals, pump sets, electricity, dams, So when you browse through your textbook, on one of the pages they have given you these modern farming methods in a shape of a diagram. I'd like you to copy down that diagram. If you can imagine and write and draw it, nothing better. But if you can't, then simply give the heading of modern farming methods and draw the diagram from your textbook. Each time that I say draw, it means draw in your notebook and color with the use of color pencils. A diagram is always meant to be a neat, labeled, colored diagram. So here I show you scenes from a village, the older models of the harvesters, different types of crops, different types of seeds. You can identify seeds, Google Baba ki jai. You can identify the seeds and make a list mentally in your diaries or your rough notepads, etc. Then we say from the old way of plowing to the modern way of plowing. You can see from a farmer using bullocks. Now they have these kind of jeeps and cars plowing the field. And so, until we meet again, I will see you having done a lot of colorful diagrams, pictures, imaginations, and wonderful work. Now, while we have these diagrams that you would be drawing, there are a few questions which I call curiosity questions for you. So if history is for the past, what do you think economics is for? You're going to answer them in the notebook, okay? You will write the heading of once again as curiosity questions and you will answer them in the notebook. If history is for the past, what do you think is economics for? And I'm giving you two hints to that question. Who is the earning person at home? Why do we earn? What is the major primary source of income? In India, obviously. The second question we do in our notebooks, what do you think the farmers will do if the land is not suitable for farming? What do you think the farmers will do if the land is not suitable for farming? Once again, I give you two hints. What are non-farming activities? And name some of the non-farming activities which will be done in such a scenario. Then you will give a heading, experiential learning, where you have to conduct a survey and analyze the economic disparities that exist in society. So you will give a heading in the notebook, experiential learning activity, and you have to conduct a survey. The objectives of conducting the survey are on your screen. You may quickly browse through these objectives. Now, since this cannot be done in a group because we are all in our own homes and I don't want to risk your lives, we will do it as an individual activity. And I have given you suggested topics on your screen. You can choose any 5 topics for your survey. You have to do it individually, not in a group. So you will choose the topics on your own from the suggested list. You will do the survey on 5 individuals where you will have done 5 kinds of surveys, income of the individual, and the topic for data collection. It's as simple. Income of the individual and the topic for data collection. So you will choose 5 topics, you will do 5 surveys. And beyond that, you will make your 5 surveys of 5 people each. You will analyze the data collected and find the economic disparities. You may even find social disparities in your survey. So until we meet again, you have a lot of work to do. It sounds like a lot of work, but actually you're going to be asking people in your house or around your house. So it becomes very, very simple. And it's all in your notebooks. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. Goodbye.